Hello and welcome to the Face Building Podcast, episode 77. Vladi just said, I cannot believe it's 77 already. With your lovely and amazing host, Vladi Kuna.
And Norman Greater. Hi, guys.
Hello, lovely people. As Vladi already mentioned at the end of episode 76, it's about self-image today. And I think we spoke about self-image before, and you cannot stop speaking about self-image, as self-image is kind of the key component that stands between your subconscious mind and your body, which means your subconscious mind usually controls your body movements and everything you do. And the self-image is basically the last filter. And if your self-image is low, not good. And of course, I have an example for you. We have good friends, and the lady wanted to sell Lego stones on eBay, 56 euros. And she got trapped in a scam, which means somebody wrote back and said, is the Lego still available? She said, yeah, it's still available. And then I don't know why they moved to a different page, but it appeared that it's the eBay page, but it was not an eBay page, it just looked like it. And she had to open a new account and put money on the credit card. And it was always in steps of 1,000 euros. Like, just wire 1,000 euros and you get it back. It's just kind of to prove whatever they told. But as we know, the scammers are very smart. And at the end of the day, she burned 20,000 euros. And we just want to make you aware of that, where you think, how stupid can you be? No. She's a very smart lady. And this reminded me of, her name was Debbie, I think Debbie Montgomery, probably. She wrote a book many years ago, and I had a pleasure to meet her in America during one of my trips. And she was in the military, very smart woman, not regular military stuff, but intelligent. So very, very smart human being. And her husband died at one point, and she was alone, and she fell into a trap of some, how do you call that? Some African organization that told her everything. And at the end of a certain time, she lost over $1 million. Because it was always, I cannot come to you, I would love to come, but I need the money for the fly. And then, I still need to close a business and it's 10,000. And from the outside standpoint, it's ridiculously stupid. And you shake your head and you say, how stupid can you be? I mean, every red light needs to go on. When you want to sell something and the system tells you, no, you need to wire money first. But as you think, it's the official thing. And this is why those scams work, because they do it in a very smart way. I don't know the details, but I know both ladies that happened, the 20,000 and the 1 million. They are smart. They are not stupid. They are not ignorant. They are not very easy to trap. It's just in that situation they were in, and the way it was done was so smart that they just got probably pulled into something and did not really think about it. It was just, next step makes sense. And one was doing it out of love, for sure. She wanted to find love again. And the other one probably did it because she thought it's the right thing to do. And we don't want to judge anyone. But when I spoke to her, of course, she felt so stupid. And I said, no, the thing you did was probably not the smartest, but this does not make you a stupid person as a whole being. And this is what usually happens. If something that you do fails, or is something like that, you burn money, or you burn a relationship, or you lose a car, or your bike gets stolen because you did not lock it well, the behavior you had in this situation not to lock the car or not to lock the bike was questionable, and the result we see, it's gone. But this does not make you a stupid person. And this I realized after my Porsche Arena event failed due to the COVID restrictions. I felt like a failure because my project has failed. But what I did not get back then was it was just a project. This was not me, even though my name was written on top of the poster. No, a project that went south, wrong, different than I expected. Let's just call it different than I expected. The same with the 20,000, the same with the million. It came out different than expected. But I had to relearn that it's not about me and that I don't need to put that stamp on Norman Grater as a whole human being and a spiritual being. It was just the action that I can change for next time. And this is all part of the self-image. And if you give yourself a stamp like that, or if somebody else gives you a stamp, you believe that, and everything you could do, every idea, every brave thing you could do is being filtered through self-image. And if you have a self-image that says, I'm a failure, do you think that you will achieve stuff in your life, that you go proudly forward, that you go smiling and shining and greeting what we spoke about in the last episode? No, you don't do that. And your self-image is the cause. Vladi, you're the queen of self-image. What do you have in mind?
I'm like filtering what I should quickly say and not filter. As a true identity architect, the reason I chose to focus on self-image is because it really is the thermostat of your life. And it took me a couple of years to really realize that we set the goals. You know, we're passionate about goals and we have the dreams and we set these amazing goals. But if we don't change the self-image, it stops you and you can't go up. So I was focusing on why do people set these amazing goals and we get fired up. We go to webinars, we make a decision, I'm going to do this, and then something happens and we just either give up or it fails, or there was this common, almost like a denominator for all these people who are doing something, but that what is it in that line where people just switch? And that's what also I love Norman's story about the arena, because all of us have stories and there is a law of rhythm. Remember, you're up and you're down. By the law, if you can learn to move yourself through this up and down, and I have recently really experienced a crumbling in probably the worst part in my entire life in many areas. And now, obviously, it's going up, started going up, it feels better. But what it is, we feel it's the inner self-image you have. What is the image of yourself you see in your mind, not other people? What do you see and believe? Who do you believe you are? What can you do? Because that, when you're on your lows and when you hit the lows, trust me, the very original image that is running you is going to come up. And we lie to ourselves so many times through our life because we don't want to see it, or we don't want to believe it, or because we're so much in these materials, you feel, okay, I can't think like that. Oh, this is not right. But letting go is actually the only way you can pick yourself up. And trust me, I've been in this for a long time, specializing in self-image, and yet I found myself in situations where I ask myself, like, I know this stuff better. I know exactly what I need to do. Why am I not doing it? Why am I not doing it? You have to let the old image die completely, and your body is so programmed, it will fight you to let it die. And that's the biggest lesson I got in the last 6 months. It's we know we want to, we create a new one, we know what to do. It's not happening that easy. It's just going to have to. Now, when you focus, as we mentioned in the last episode, if you can focus on thanking the adversity, that is something that I've learned that it's gold mine. Like, thank you for allowing me to understand that I need to do this in this way. And thank you, I felt this because now I felt this and this and this. And now I'm like, oh my, the clarity that comes with that, it's priceless. You cannot get it when you're running on a successful line. I mean, trust me, we've moved up and down. When you're running up there, you don't pay attention to the things when you're on the lower line. And that's what I've really loved, that what Bob Proctor used to tell us, and I love that sentence, and Norman used it when he started speaking: learn, unlearn, and relearn. And we don't want to do that. It's like, well, I already created this kind of success. Why should I do differently? Because I know this works. Well, the times changed. You have changed. You're growing and you seeing things differently. I've realized in the last 6 months, I no longer want to be with certain people on a certain frequencies, having certain talks, all the little crappy talk, because I value my time. I choose how I want to spend my time. And even if I make less money, I know that I'm so aligned with my core values, I will not take a different route just to fill the gap, which is very short term and temporary. But most of us do it. It's like, well, I need the money, so I need to do this. Oh, but I don't want to be alone, so I want to do this. And I don't want to, I don't like this body, so I need to do this. It's all kind of partly subconscious lies we tell ourselves, because the key to self-image is you can never outperform your self-image that you have right now. If you can just, and remember that in anything you do in your life, doesn't matter whether it's love and relationships, health and well-being, your financial freedom, time freedom, or your job. Why do people who are in a very successful jobs hate them? There's so many, because they get money, right? They need to pay the bills. That's how we live, where they need to, and they also afraid and scared. It comes from a fear. Well, I've been doing this for 40 years. Who am I to jump into something new? Oh my God, I'm 50. Why would I get the new business now? Whereas Norman knows this, a while ago when we were working, like this is 5 years ago at least, I remember this gentleman, Richard Love, and he jumped on a call with me, and this started with this energy. You could just see this guy is like, hi, Vladi, I'm 77 years young, and I want to know what's my next step in life. I was like, I want to be that guy when I'm 77. The attitude, the energy, he's like, what's next? What can I still create in this world to make a difference? Whereas I look at some people as, okay, I'm retiring next year, 65. That's it, end of my life. Like, people have such a different approach to life. And I love the self-image part for simply powerful explanation. Your self-image is the thermostat you have in your room. But this is your inner thermostat, your inner GPS to your success. And if you think of, you're really cold, actually it's quite chilly in here. I know it's mid-June, but it feels like a half Arctic in the UK. You put the thermostat on a 23 degrees. And then you say, oh, but today I feel I want to be over 30. Well, you're not going to move past 23 degrees because that's how it's set. It's simple as it is. It will come to 23, shut down, and the whole house will stay at 23. Because this is your GPS. What you believe you can do, or what you're capable of doing, or who you really are, is set by your own you. Nobody else can actually tell you whether you're successful or not. But you accept that belief, or you have pretty much in a childhood, first 7 years of life, we just accepted so many things. And then we made them stronger by the things that happened to us. Because, like Norman talking about arena, I know I've had things in life where I said, oh, I see, my mom told me about this, and here it is happening to me 25 years later. It must be true. So your belief becomes convincing belief. And now it's actually part of your self-image that is running you. So if I tell you that whatever job you're doing today, you can actually quit it and just start a new business and create an incredible success, do you believe it? Or do you already have a list of excuses why you can't, or why this is not the right time? You don't have the right education. It's not the financial time you can test, or you need a security. And end of the day, that's all we want. We want to be safe. We want to be safe financially, emotionally, and physically. So if you look centuries back, that's what especially females, obviously, where we were looking for physical security, because obviously physically there wasn't so much security, and still isn't in certain parts of the world this day. But then we moved into financial security, and really then only considered emotional one. But when you think about it, it's all twisted backwards now. Emotional security becomes the first. And actually, there was this guy, and I can't remember his name, and he's talking about relationship. He's a really good on relationships. And he said, what female are looking for in males these days are 3 things. And I was like, I want to know what the 3 things are. Whether, I can actually tick it as yeah, he's right, because that's as a female. He's spot on. He said they're looking for emotional, physical, and financial security, but financial is no longer number 1. And I can agree with it. You actually want to, because females became quite stronger and really good, but they still need a platform from a male to actually kick and grow and bloom the kingdom. If they don't provide a platform, they actually don't create what they're capable of. And it's vice versa for the males, because in a certain parts, self-image, when we bring the self-image into how the world is evolving and changing, and I mean, AI is a whole new level we can incorporate the next time talking about how that affects males is the same. I was thinking how much harder it must be because of the expectations. And also, you know, some females trying to prove too much strength, and it goes all the way to feminism and trying to be really too much. It's also given away. So, you know, for centuries, guys were conditioned in a certain way. I am the man of the house and I have to do this and I have to do. It doesn't no longer has to do everything alone, because, you know, females can actually produce quite a lot. So there's no need for them to now, I have to pay for everything. I have to do everything. But there's still this conditioning from both parts, both of us, females and males, that actually has to die. But for some reason, some of us are holding on to it and crunching to it, and it's not helping. If we all let it just leave and go, the world will change so fast. So, yeah, I hand it back. I'm talking too long, but it's really...
Not at all.
Self-image is your best investment you can ever make in yourself, because if you don't tweak that thing, you're never gonna move. And you can, yes, you can actually set something and quickly create a success, but then you're right back, because it will pull you right back into the 23 degrees you set. So yeah, can you bypass it? Yes, you actually can. I get this question a lot from people. You can bypass it, but it's very short term and it will pull you back, because you haven't reset it. You have to actually raise your standards and raise your self-image in order to be producing the results you want. Otherwise, you can't produce them. It's just simply, and it helps to be surrounded by different people. This is why so many times people who are not in a personal development industry criticize it. They said it's brainwashing, and, you know, like partners. Bob Proctor used to tell us that they called his webinars divorce webinars, because one person starts raising a dozen and it causes issues. It's not really that it causes issues, but that now you're operating on two completely different levels. So it's like the story Norman told you in the last episode with the couple with the newspaper. That's the exact same thing. It's we want it our way. End of the day, we all want to feel good. So if it doesn't fit into your world and you don't learn to have a good response, good attitude, compassion to understand it from a different perception, that's the growth in a personal development it is. It just gives you the tools so you have much greater understanding what's happening and you can be approaching things differently, responding rather than reacting. I'll hand it to you back.
So true. And your self-image is just a mental construct. You need to make sure to know that. It's a mental construction. It's no real reality. Nothing you can grab. Yeah, your self-image or your mind would say, yeah, but it's based on my real experience. And still, it's a mental construct. And this self-image is based in your subconscious mind, which is impersonal. It's just like a computer. It runs the program. If you have a machine that cuts the grass, it doesn't matter if it's grass or dirt or if you put your finger below. It doesn't matter for the machine. It just does not know the difference. The idea is to cut the grass. The blades are spinning. And the same is your subconscious mind. It's like a computer. It just follows the orders that are given. And it's not about if it hurts you or if it harms you. And as your self-image is placed in that subconscious mind, it just does not give a crap if it helps you or hurts you. And as Vladi mentioned Bob Proctor, I remember Bob at a couple of occasions mentioned Charlie Tremendous Jones, if I'm correct. Said, how are you? Tremendous, Bob. And Kevin Trudeau also mentioned him. And he just shared a story that I listened to yesterday or 2 days ago about Charlie Tremendous Jones. And I think he was in the insurance company. Probably it was a different business, but let's just make it the insurance company. And they had a very, very huge client, and the number one sales guy worked with this huge client. And at one point, the number one sales guy came back and said, I think we lost the client. He was fuming, he was screaming, he was yelling, he kicked me out of the office. Everything failed. So Charlie said, okay, maybe you failed, but we sent somebody else. So he sent number two. And he said, you need to go to that client because he fumed, he threw out your colleague, the number one. And number two in line said, if he kicked out number one, I'm the second in the sales line when it comes to success. it will not work. But yeah, but I want you to go. Just try. So he went there with the idea of he will kick me out, and eventually he got kicked out. So Charlie thought about what he could do to solve the issue. And a couple days later, they hired a new guy. So he asked the new guy in, he said, I have an amazing client for you. It's a treat. It's our best client. And I just want to make sure that you know what you get yourself into. The moment you walk in, he will scream at you. He eventually does not even want to see you. He tries everything to push you away and not let you go to the office, probably the assistant. But you need to find a way to get in there because it's his game. It's his spiel. He does that all the time. The moment you're in, he will yell at you. He will throw stuff at you. He will complain about everything. And you just sit there, you smile, you nod. Because he will do that. And then he will throw some more stuff and he will complain some more. But you stay in there. It's a game. He does that to everyone. So the young guy takes off and comes back after half a day and says, yeah, exactly, it was the way you told me. And he said, come on, young guy, well, what happened? And he said, of course, the assistant wanted not to let me in. I told the assistant somebody else is waiting in the hallway. She left and he passed by the empty desk and went into the office of the boss, who thought, what do you want to do here? I said, yeah, I'm coming from this company. And he wanted to throw me out. And I took my coat off in ease. And I sat down and I smiled while he was yelling and he wanted to kick me out and he was throwing stuff at me. And what I want to do here, and I said, yeah, I'm here because my boss told me. Then he started yelling some more. And the young guy said at one point I saw he had a picture of himself with a merlin, with a fish. So he asked him about the fish. And then he kind of calmed down. He talked a little bit about the fish. Then he started yelling again because he said, oh, you want to just keep me off the topic? Then we started talking about the fish again. And at the end of the day, when everything that you told me he will do, he gave me the biggest order for our company from this client. So what was the difference? Just the self-image. In one point, the person made the experience. The second one heard the experience of the first one. He was afraid because he's just the second in line. He failed as well. And the young guy had no experience. And as Charlie told him, you know, that's just the game of the client. He will do that. He does that to everyone, but it's part of the game. That's how he works. He just approached it totally different. Could you approach it totally different? Because you tell your self-image, it might be possible that 40 years ago X, Y, Z happened and this caused an imprint in my self-image. Yeah. But what if, and this brings me to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, what if you would have a different option? If you would start telling yourself, you know, my father did not tell me you're a failure, but he told me whatever you touch turns to gold. Would your life have changed in a different way just by telling you one different sentence? Do you think if your self-image would have this one different sentence, that in this impersonal subconscious mind that controls the body, you would act different? It's a mental construct. It's not reality. It's nothing solid you can hold on into the air and show to people. It's just a mental construct. So I leave it up to Vladi to give us more advices what you can do to change this impersonal, imprint, self-image thing that's just an idea. What can we basically do, Vladi, to really change that 1-2 little ideas?
You know, I love your story, and it's really simple, and we don't do it. Because if you can sit every day quietly for 15 minutes, or do it as many times as you want, but at least find 15 days. I mean, if you tell me that you don't have 15 days in a day, you're lying, because you can find it for things that matter. You could really quiet down, like really relax, and you need to create the image you would love to be. Who would you love to be? But you need to ask. And you know what? I had a friend yesterday when I was doing the coffee live, and she said, but how do you like the judgment? I said, I command my judgment to stay aside. The same way you're talking to your AI, the same way you're talking to your employees, to your partner, to your friends, and you ask them what you want. You communicate with people exactly what you would like or don't. If you order a restaurant, you're actually giving a clear commands of what you would love. You need to command when you're relaxing. You need to actually command your mind and say, I want you, judgment, and all the negative emotions and I want you to sit aside and just leave me alone for these 15 minutes. And I am now going to be an absolute neutral observer, like observing completely just what would I love? Who would I love to be? No, whether I believe I can, it's irrelevant at this exercise. You have to see if you could really be anything and you had this genie in front of you and the genie gives you 15 minutes to really create exactly who you would love to be. Be honest. Do you actually have a clear idea? And the more often you do this exercise will give you more clarity. It's the same as writing goals. You write the goals every day and then you're like, well, actually, this is not my priority. This is not what I want. Who would I love to be? How would I want to show up in the world? What are the things that are really important for me? And I can tell you the difference between 20 years, 10 years ago and now. If you give me $1 billion at 20 years ago, I would definitely use it differently than 10 years ago and now, where it's changing. Things I would buy, I really believe that if I build the physical and like have a great house and a great car and look physically great, and this is your outer external image, and this is why it's really important to distinguish in this exercise. You're focusing on your internal image, not your look. Now you can obviously include, because it will make you to create more perfect you in a best self of you in a future, if there is a certain type of clothes you want to wear. Because really, when you then go deeper, am I wearing these clothes for myself or am I wearing them for others to like me? Am I driving this car because it gives me an absolute joy and that's why I want, and I really don't care what other people think? Or am I doing it because if I drive this car, people think I'm someone else? And this is the communication you need to start having to say. And it's funny because my friend said to me, your nails and your toes are always done. Like in the winter, my sister's like, what's the point of having a pedicure? Like nobody sees it. I see my feet. I don't care nobody else sees my feet because I'm barefoot all the time. So for me, it's something that gives me joy because I'm looking at myself. I don't do it for other people. Obviously, it becomes your self-image, part of your self-image, but remember, it's the external one. It doesn't really matter. You need to focus on who am I as a person? What's that inner image? And really, this is the best exercise. Quiet down for 15 minutes, really relax, and create a picture in your mind. Who are you? How are you walking? How are you talking? How are you hugging people? The story Norman was telling us about the company and all the people. I'm a hugger. I hug people, but do you have a clarity what you're doing? And you're always seeing yourself in the future as that is the key why you're not experiencing it. You have to feel you're this person now. Not when I have these things, then I will do this. When I have more money, I can look after myself. Trust me, going through ups and downs, I've managed to do and look after myself, maybe not in the same extent, but I don't just, when I'm all the way to the loss and when I always was, like, when I left, when I was 19, I left and I borrowed the money for the bus to come to the UK. I was still doing certain things because it's your self-care, it's your self-love, it's a certain things you do for yourself, maybe in a little bit less impact than you do when you have more money, but still, it's actually who you are. So there is no excuse like, oh, if I had more money, I would do this. No, you wouldn't, because if you're not doing it, regardless of the amount of money you have, there's no relationship and inner love and self-care. And if you don't create the self-care relationship with you, okay, don't go and have the nails. You do the nails. I was doing my nails for years. And it was so annoying because, if they cheap and you had to spend times. But I would still have it done. So it's the standard. And that is how you create the self-image. Is you need to see yourself. How am I talking to people? What are the things I'm doing? How am I acting in society? How am I actually spending my money? Where am I spending my money? That is part of your self-image because you're already in your imagination creating what you're doing. What's your bigger vision? And that all becomes to it because really it started with, we love the Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. He was a plastic surgeon before he was actually studying the neuroscience and the psychology. But in 1960s, he was performing plastic surgery. So there were, let's say, for example, a person with a big nose would go and have the nose done because it just made them feel really bad. And he was paying attention that some of the people changed with the physical change, but some didn't. It has not made a change regardless of the appearance, which is your external image. So why? Because those people have not replaced their inner image. And if you don't replace that, there are people, I cannot tell you how, I'm going to say this lovingly because we talk about Hollywood and how people in Hollywood actually are and models and people who most of us female just look with admiration and say, oh my God, like Victoria's Secret, you look at these girls, they look fantastic, right? Their inner confidence is not actually great. Few of them have a very strong inner confidence and very great self-image. Most of them, bulimia, they psychologically, the amount they have to eat, they're self-conscious of themselves, they feel fat and they look at themselves because psychologically they haven't changed the self-image. So they start being really self-conscious of them and they don't walk. I was telling ladies yesterday, I can go and buy a Chanel dress and there will be someone who's wearing Chanel dress every day. We will wear it differently because really it's not my daily clothes. I mean, I'd love to wear it and it's not, I feel comfortable because I like putting dresses on the balls and stuff. I always love dresses. However, it is not my daily way I wear stuff. So I will wear it differently until and unless I'm so comfortable wearing it in my mind all the time that it actually doesn't make a difference. And this is where the self-esteem by how do you feel about yourself becomes a foundation to your confidence, which is part of self-image, but that's only how you see yourself. So what is the image in your mind that you hold of yourself? And you can just take a piece of paper and write down, I am. Who am I? What do you always do? What are you always afraid of? What is the first thing you say? Do you leave the house looking in a mirror and say, you look great, have a great day, One of the clients was mentioning to me yesterday that that's what she adopted from her mom. Leaving the house all the time, and her mama was like, oh my God, I look a mess. I look terrible. I look terrible. So your daughters are paying attention not to what you say, but what you do. And if you're saying I look terrible all the time, then actually you're leaving the house and they're picking up on this energy. And then you can have a really strong confidence talk with them. You always must feel great, but they're not seeing it. So that becomes much deeper paradigm, which is the inner self-image, rather than the external paradigm by them telling them what they should do. So the speaking and acting goes straight to outside an external image or the inner image, which is the thermostat that is running you. And I could talk another 3 hours, but we're definitely out of time.
And then we make another episode and we continue because the topic is so important. And what Vladi said, I just want to wrap up. Work on your inner self-image, and if you can use a dress, a beautiful blouse, a beautiful outfit that helps you, that you shine more, that you walk more straight, that you smile more, it has an impact on your inner self-image. It's not that clothes make people. I think there's a quote like that, at least in German. It's true, but it's not the only thing. Don't put all your focus on the outside and just fake it until you make it. No, be it until you are it. And with that being said, we wish you a wonderful week, and we see and hear you again in episode 78. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.